Hey y'all, welcome. It's MJ from Just Plain Fun. This video is going to be something quite a bit different than what I've done in the past. I've been thinking about doing something like this for a while, and it's going to be kind of a day in the life. This is a typical day of sales here at Just Plain Fun LLC. So, grab yourself a coffee and let's do this. I'm going to try and do this with minimum editing, so I'm just going to be talking. I'm not going to be doing a bunch of camera changes, so if that's not your thing, you can just go ahead and scroll away. But we're just going to talk about some sales that I made. This is just in the last couple days, finalized today, and then these are going out tomorrow. So the first one is going to be this 604 round side frog. This would fit a 604 or a 605. If you've watched my other videos, you already know this, but when it's rounded like this on the bottom, that's how we know that it goes to a round side bedrock and not a flat side. And then the inside of this is different, but that's your most telltale sign right there. So that one's going down to Florida, and that'll be leaving tomorrow. This one is actually a pending deal. This same screw actually goes on a number of different planes. It would fit your 72s, it'd fit your 78s, it would fit your Liberty Bells. So the same screw from that era goes on a number of different planes, your other Rabbit planes, your 190s, your 180s, stuff like that. So that's a pending deal. This is one, this gentleman found me on here on YouTube actually and emailed me, and he's just looking for a tote screw. And just FYI, even for the number 5 and up totes, there's some variation on the lengths on these. So this is going to be 4 1/4. This is going to be 4 3/8. So that's something that you have to pay attention to if and when you're in the market for a tote screw. And as you can see, this one is not flat. It is so hard to find one that's perfectly flat. More often than not, they're actually bent like that. And I've talked to some of my fellow Stanley enthusiasts, and there's a theory that Stanley actually bent them to make them fit better, or to make them fit, period. I don't know if I believe that, but it's pretty hard to find them straight. These are, of course, router plane parts. Hopefully you've watched my router plane type study video. So this, as I recall, is somewhere in the type 4, type 5 router plane range. So this gentleman found one that was just the body, needed a collar for it. So I'm going to hook him up with this B casting collar, and then this 1/2 inch router plane iron. And as you can see, this is the one without the notch. So his particular router plane does not have the depth adjustment screw. So we're going to hook him up with a period correct one. And those two are actually going out to California. And then this one was sold through Facebook. Somebody was asking about the famed chip deflector on the Stanley number 50. And this little guy unfortunately sells for in the $40 to $45 range. And this one is actually going back to the motherland. It's going back to Connecticut tomorrow. So how cool is that? These are 60.5 irons, and these are actually all going to New Jersey. Had a gentleman reach out. Unfortunately, he misplaced some irons, it seems, and needs them. He's doing a kind of a custom project with some 60.5 soles that he has. And so just 4 good serviceable irons, and that's what's going to go to New Jersey tomorrow. So should be interesting. I asked him to send me pictures when he gets done with that custom job, because I'm kind of curious how that's going to turn out. I'm going to talk about this big pile up here that's going to Oregon, but I'm going to use this as a prop. Y'all are probably familiar with these forward tote screws, but for whatever reason, these always seem to be missing, or frequently seem to be missing. And as you look around, and as I'm talking about these, you're going to notice that I'm actually selling 3 of these in one day. So kind of wild. I usually sell these for $10 a piece when they're serviceable, sometimes 12 if they're really, really, really nice. But this one is actually going out as a single. It's got some pitting on the top, so this one's going out for $9 plus shipping, which is a pretty fair deal. It's got what appears to be some bluing on the threads. But yeah, those are pretty tough to find. But fun fact, in case you haven't seen this in one of my other videos or somebody else's video, it's a 1220 screw, and your frog mounting screws will actually fit as well. It's the same threads. And so if you don't want to spend $8, $9, $10 on a screw plus shipping, you can just pop one of those frog screws in there if you're not concerned about it being 100% correct. Of course, a lot of my customers like to have period correct stuff, and they like to have the right part, and I don't blame you. I get it. And another fun fact, I do also sell these. These are made by Bill Rittner, and these are the brass ones. Sometimes they run a little long, so they may have to be trimmed to fit, but these little fellas are really nice. If you want to bling out your hand plane a little bit, you know, I do have some of these available, and you can also get them straight from Bill. This order is fairly run-of-the-mill. This is actually one of my new customers, and as I recall, I believe he's in New York. I'd have to look it up to be sure, but just rebuilding a number 5, type 11. So going to get him a good frog. He's going to reuse his old brass, so that allows him to save a couple bucks on the frog. And then getting a serviceable lever cap that's period correct. Got a tiny, tiny bit of pitting that would probably buff out, but you know, a lot of folks would rather have that than have some chips out of the leading edge, which is all too common. I think I have about 100 of those that are chipped, and I just have a hard time selling them, and that's okay. But the frog, you'll recognize, is a Type 11. It's got the deep channel on either side back here, and just a good serviceable frog that just needs to be cleaned up. And then while he's at it, he's also picking up another one of the forward tote screws. This one's showing some signs of wear, and that's okay. It'll still work, and this is actually going on a number 6 of his. So those will go out as well. And of course, I get to pack all this stuff tomorrow because I'm up late recording this video. And you know, we're going to make it happen. This next order is another bulk one. This one's actually, the ultimate destination for it is over in the UK. But it's going to make a stop off in Chicago first, and then it's going to ride, hopefully in somebody's carry-on, because I imagine the TSA probably won't like that. Or excuse me, hopefully in somebody's checked baggage, because the TSA is not going to like that in somebody's carry-on. But yeah, a little number 3 size low knob. It's actually got some really nice figuring. I'm just going to clean up really, really nice. And then some lateral adjust for some block planes. If you ever need one of these, I sell them cheap, $3 each. And I have a whole bunch of them because block planes, I don't know what it is. They just get mistreated. A little number 100 iron, and this one has seen better days. Somebody got wild with that bevel there on the back, but it'll sharpen up, and that'll make a good user. And so number 72s, the chamfer planes. You guys have probably seen them. I imagine not too many of y'all own one, but I can't get irons for them. I can't find them, and it seems like half the people that find a 72, it's missing an iron and or the lever cap. And I don't know what it is. But this is the shape. This is the mostly correct shape of them. So this one's going to end up on a 72. It's got the grooves on the back. It's still going to function. It's still going to be fine. But, yeah, it's kind of a suitable sub. But having said that, Mike Muscat is actually going to make some reproduction number 72 irons. So they're going to have the correct shape. They won't have the grooves on the back. They're going to have the slot in the center to be able to work. And, you know, obviously not going to be original. They won't say Stanley unless he gets wild and stamps that on there or something. But Mike's going to make some number 72 irons. So if that's something that you're needing, I'll get you on the list. And also, Dave Corinth is going to be casting some lever caps for 72s as well. So he got a sample from Eric O'Gray, and he made a molding of it, and he's going to be casting those. So look forward to those as well for the folks that are having a hard time finding a lever cap for your 72. And as far as Dave, who's over in the UK, I did finally luck up and find a number 40 lever cap and iron. This one came to me. It was a plain, the sole of it was defunct, had a hanging hole and some other stuff wrong with it. And so I went ahead and retired the sole, was able to recover these parts from it. Obviously, you can see this is an older one, Stanley Rule and Neville Company, and then got the B casting on the back. So lever cap and iron going over there, going to make somebody's number 40 complete, which is always a good thing with original parts. And then last but not least, some block plane screws for the lever caps. And the reason why I wanted to show you these is because there is some variance in the lengths on these. So if you're talking like a low angle number 65 or 60.5, or if you're talking a 9.5, 9.25, all those, they have different lengths on the lever cap screws. So you got to be very cognizant of that when you're placing an order. This one's obviously trashed. I probably won't send that one. But you got to pay attention to that, because I unfortunately learned this the hard way and went back at least 2, maybe even 3 times trying to find the correct one. Nowadays, I usually just try and send extras, especially when they're going overseas, so that we can make sure that we get the correct one. Because if it's too long, then, you know, of course, the lever cap's not going to lock down on it, and that's no good. So that's a little tip for the masses, so you make sure you get the right. And last and certainly not least, this is kind of a bigger order. Got a gentleman out in Oregon who's rebuilding a 4.5 and a 5.5, and I think he's working on a number 7 as well. So we're going with a repaired tote. This one was repaired as part of the Tote exchange program. If you're not familiar with that, I send you 2 broken totes. You repair both of them, presumably, but you repair one and send it back to me. The only thing you pay for is just the return shipping, that return first class shipping to send it back. I cover everything else as far as shipping, and then you get to keep the other tote that you repair. And so, you know, you're basically getting a tote for the cost of your time to repair one, plus the $4 or $5 shipping. I guess ground advantage now instead of first class. So that one was repaired, and that one's going to go out to Oregon. And the gentleman also needs some frog mounting screws. On an order this big, of course, I'm going to give these away. I wouldn't sell them for more than $1 or $2 anyway. But I'm going to give these away to him, so he's got some spares. Once again, another forward tote screw going out with this order. If it goes with a tote, it sells a bit cheaper, especially the higher the price of the tote, the cheaper that screw is going to be. Unfortunately, I do have to sell them separate just because these are just so bloody hard to come by. I mean, you see I'm selling 3 in one day, and I can't keep these in stock, especially the nice ones. A 1/4 inch iron for his 71.5 router, so that one's going to get that back in shape. And orders over $100 do get a free sticker, as long as I remember, or if you remind me. So if you ever order more than $100, make sure you remind me. I'm going to give you a free sticker to go with that. This is actually a 5.5 iron, so it's an older one, so it's a 2 1/4. Of course, BB logo, because Stanley kept making the 2 1/4 irons for the 5.5s even after they stopped. Even after they upgraded the size to the 2 3/8 to standardize it with the 4.5, 6s, and 7s. So you could still go to the hardware store and pick up the smaller 2 1/4 size. This one is a little offset. I'm not sure if that just got misstamped or what. I think that's probably what it was. But, you know, look at that chip breaker on that. A 2 1/4 chip breaker that's that pretty. That is one tough one to come by right there. But yeah, that one's going to make a great user for him for his 5.5. And this is the frog for the same 5.5. Of course, marked 5.5 back here, as they usually are. When you see this 4, 6, 7, you know that that's going to be somewhere in the like type 14-ish era, maybe plus or minus 1. But you see that a lot on the type 14 era. And then, remember I talked about the channel on the back of the type 11 frogs, how it's deeper. Not so on 12, 13, 14, actually all the way through 15 before they went to the OG style. So this 5.5, unfortunately this one did get a little grind in, it looks like. I don't know why someone would have done that, but it's definitely not going to affect performance. It's still going to rest easy here and here on the frog, on the bed. So I don't foresee that being an issue. And once again, no brass, so he's saving a little money there on the frog, and he's going to just reuse his old one. And then this is for a type 11 number 4.5, and of course the same as the 6 and the 7, but a good solid user frog there to bring his type 11 4.5 back to life. And that's a wrap. I sure appreciate y'all watching. Hopefully you got something out of that. Look forward to hearing from you. Thanks.